This week on Community Watch, I'm talking with Shaylan Johnson, who is the president of the Northwest Georgia Minority Business Association. It's a great organization that's building after being dormant a few years. It's an exciting story. You'll love meeting Shaylan. You want to see the show. Community Watch starts now. Welcome to Community Watch, and I am so glad to have, at last, Shaylan Johnson as my guest.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Now, I'm going to mention two of your titles of the many.
Okay, yes.
You are CEO of Blooming Oak Photography.
Mm-hmm.
Blooming Oak, got to make sure y'all picked up on that. And president of the Northwest Georgia Minority Business Association.
Yes.
And that was, we can work it all in, but I was really wanting to talk about the Northwest Georgia Minority Business Association, which is a fairly new thing.
Yes. Yes.
So folks may know you just from going to events, because it seems like every event I go to, you are, the master of ceremonies, or, behind the scenes, or not usually behind, sometimes in front of the scenes. You're all over.
Yes, I am. I'm a little bit of everywhere. I like to tell everyone that you probably will see me a little bit here and there. I am. I'm either behind the scenes, or I am definitely out in the forefront. If I'm not taking photography, I am managing the photo booth. I am just doing a little bit of everything. Whether I am on stage speaking or I'm not, you will probably find me in most places.
Well, this is not just a shameless plug. I mean, it's a plug, but I have to say that if you have an event coming up and you need a master of ceremonies, Shaylan is so professional and perfect. You need to talk to her. And she's extremely expensive, but so worth it. So worth it.
He's trying to flatter me at this point.
But I was excited to hear about the Minority Business Association. I want to hear all about that. So tell me a little bit of the history of it.
So the Northwest Georgia Minority Business Association was founded in 1986. It was founded by Bishop Norris Allen and co-founded by Bill Collins. And it was kind of just this thing of where they noticed that people needed to be seen and they needed to be heard. And at the time, there was a functioning what is that thing called? Give me 1 second. It's on my brain, and now that you asked me, it's done flipped off my tongue.
Well, it's obviously not important.
Oh, no, it is. 5 points. Yes, there it is. It was on the tip of my tongue, but 5 points.
Oh,
so at the time, 5 points was thriving. And it seems like there needed to be a voice for the minority businesses there. At the time, there was a grocery store, there was doctors, there was so many. There was a grocery store, there was barbers, hairstylists. It was just a bunch of booming businesses at the time. And as my grandfather himself was an entrepreneur, and he thought, well, what better way to let people feel seen than for me to step in there and do it. And as he did it was a wonderful organization. They created a directory of all of the businesses in the Northwest Georgia area. They went on to covering 12 counties. And The biggest ones were in the surrounding area. So you had Polk, you had Bartow, you had Chattooga, you had Whitfield, Dalton, and then they even expanded all the way to Cherokee. And so Cherokee, Alabama, which how did they get there is we're so close to the line, they wanted to make sure that they had felt inclusive as well.
All right, so this directory for 12 counties, which is impressive. Now, what's the timeline here? When was that created?
This was created in 1986, and
so that's been around a while.
Yes.
See, I had no idea.
Yes, they did end up dissolving roughly around 2007 due to leadership and things of that sort, and that was perfectly fine. They couldn't find anyone who really wanted to take on to it, and God rest his soul, but Greg Shropshire was the one who had reached out to Bishop Norris Allen about regaining it back and rebuilding it back, and due to his passing, he was not able to, and that really struck the community, so it was really hard for people to want to get back into it and really kind of push it forward, and then it kind of just fell into my lap.
And that's what has been the recent thing. So actually it has quite a established history, and then was temporarily closed or shut down, and then now has been reborn.
Yes. So
and
we called it the relaunch.
You are the president.
Yes. So we called it the relaunch because it was thriving. The organization was thriving. It was by far one of the biggest minority associations in the Northwest Georgia area, and it just became something bigger than itself. And like I said, it was kind of one of those things where I was asking questions, and I said, "Well, who was the last person like?" Whatever happened to this organization? And I remember I was at a Braves game, and I was with the 100 Black Men at the time, and I said, what happened to this organization? And I remember someone said, Bishop Norris Allen was the last one over it. And at the time, I had no clue. So I said, Bishop Norris Allen, that's my granddaddy. And yes, come to find out, yes, my grandfather was the one that was over it. And it was kind of funny because it was like, I never knew all this history and all of these things that he had done. I had no clue about, and so from that day, I had kind of made it my mission to ask him a little bit, like what happened here? And he said, "Oh, you haven't read my book?" And I said, "No, I did not read your book. No, I'm asking you now that you're alive. I need to know." And it just became this phenomenal mission of mine to just really push it out there.
Well, it sounds like with the directory aspect of it, at least, that sounds like a lot of work. I mean, putting a directory together, are you in the process of, or do you have plans to update that directory, or?
So the directory that my grandfather had, we have studied this directory. We have went through this directory. We have called, and he has sat down with me one night, and he went through each person on this directory. And come to find out, a lot of these businesses aren't in business anymore.
Yeah.
So we have had to rebuild a directory from scratch, coming from the trenches all the way up. However, we're still building it. As of January the 11th, I believe, nope, the 12th, because that was the day after our launch, we had our first member, which was a huge accomplishment because it was like, okay, people are seeing what we're trying to do here. And as of right now, we're roughly going on 10, which is still a good number as we have only been active since the 11th. So we're going on roughly around 2.5 weeks of building.
So 10 businesses?
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
And is your goal to cover that same 12 county area?
We are wanting to reach the 12, but we understand that, the turtle takes its time to get to the finish line. So we want to definitely start with roughly around 3 to 4, and then work our way up to around the 12 or 6. If we can just get 6, I would be happy.
So the the 10 businesses that you have, are they, what counties do they represent?
So as of right now, we have mostly Rome, and we have, I believe, one in Cartersville. So as of right now, mostly Rome and Cartersville. Looking to reach more to the Polk area and the Chattooga area as well.
So is it a case of trying to get minority businesses to join, or just trying to find out which businesses are minority-run businesses or minority-owned businesses?
So our goal is to have the minority businesses join. We are trying to be an association of where we are able to recycle the money within our community. So any of the minority communities. So with that being said, if you're a minority, I feel like why not learn how to recycle the money within one? So if you know a hair barber that might be your friend's cousin's uncle, why not go and see him? Because you know him. You don't necessarily know him, but you know him. And that is kind of what we're trying to create this directory for, is to learn how to recycle the dollar within the communities.
Yeah. And support those businesses.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, I would guess part of your initial effort would just be getting the word out.
Yes, yes.
Which may be why you're here today.
Yes.
See how I put that together? I'm so proud of myself. So how are you going about that? Is it...
We have spent so much time. When I tell you, I have such a supportive board and VP, so supportive. Everyone is really reaching out. They are going to these businesses. They're just talking about it. Our launch party was so phenomenal. We had an expected rate of roughly around 70 or 80, and that's really all I expected. I didn't expect much. I knew I was going to get good support from the community, but I did not expect the support that we really received. We exceeded a number of 270, so way more than we expected. Wow. But my board and my VP, they have worked very hard. They are constantly talking about it. They're constantly posting on social media. They are constantly pushing it. And as well as myself, I'm constantly talking to people. What do you do? Oh, and then we go on about the entire thing. So definitely reaching out to the community, getting into these businesses and talking to them. What do you need? What resources are you lacking? And I realize that a lot of small businesses are lacking a lot of resources.
So you have officers and a board?
Yes.
That's great. Who is your vice president?
So my vice president is the owner and CEO of Watley Technology Services, and his name is Dakota Watley.
You know, I've heard of this man. He's doing some great things.
Yes. He's really great. As well as, he's usually with you during the summer for the foundation camp. Most people can see him around with the 100 Black Men. Yes, he's very well into the city as well.
And building a very nice business.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
And I'm guessing you put some pressure on him to join the organization, the association.
Absolutely, I have to give it to him. But I will say, I will tell anyone this, and I'll say it again. He is usually the brains behind the operation. I am usually the one that pushes it and says, "Okay, let's go do it." But when I tell you, the man with the brain and the man with the plan is usually Dakota.
Well, I'm excited to hear that, because he didn't have enough to do. All right, we are coming up shortly on our break. When we come back, we will talk more about the Northwest Georgia Minority Business Association with Shaylan Johnson. Please don't go away. You don't want to. A lot more to come.
Access to me means I get to explore and define myself.
Access? That allows me to follow my passion.
For me, it means I get to do what I've always dreamed of doing, helping people.
Access to me means I'm the first one in my family to come to college. Sé el primero.
Welcome back to Community Watch, and I'm having a conversation with Shaylan Johnson, who is the president of the Northwest Georgia Minority Business Association, which I had no idea existed for many years,
Yes.
thanks to your grandfather
Yes.
and others, many others, and then went dormant for a few years, and
Yes.
now it has been, as you say, relaunched.
The relaunched, yes.
All right, so we'll remind folks of this at the end, but there are a number of ways people can access the association to get information. So what are those ways?
Yes. So our website, first one is our website, and we can be found at nwgamba.org. And you can find us on social media at NWGA Minority Business Association. And definitely, like I said, social media and Facebook and our website are number 2 options.
So if individuals, business owners, or just folks in the community want to reach out to you, are those the best ways to do it?
Absolutely. Or we can be reached at email at admin@nwgamba.org. And you can be reached on our email as well.
All right, and we will repeat those at the end of the show, so if you need something to write with, get that. Well, that's very exciting. Now, you mentioned to me some of the things that you have planned or either current or future plan, and you mentioned classes.
Yes. So MBA offers an assortment of workshops, classes, networking opportunities, as well as re-grand openings, grand openings, ribbon cuttings. We offer a little bit of everything. However, the biggest one that we like to offer is your knowledge, things that you can't necessarily buy. So we want to make sure that we're offering those workshops and classes.
Well, what are some of the topics that you anticipate?
Some of the anticipated topics I would definitely say would be Financial Basics 101. As a small business owner, a lot of us do not know about our finances, how to even get business credit, taxes. How do you file your business taxes? Let's see. Building of the character. That's a big one. And learning customer service. Another one is how you dress. How do you present yourself in those certain rooms? So dress etiquette 101, as well as learning how to tie a tie and things of that sort. These are all business professions that need to be done. They need to be learned, and everybody doesn't know them. And so we want to make sure that we are taking the time out to teach these things. We understand that. I like the saying that common sense is not always common, and that's a great way to view it.
So I can see these classes and workshops helping out existing business owners, but also folks who want to get into business. I mean, it's pretty essential stuff that, if you're not connected in family or in the community with some business folks with that experience, you may not have a way to know any of this.
Yeah.
So that sounds excellent.
Thank you. Thank you.
Excellent. And you mentioned networking too.
Yes. Oh goodness. Yes. That is the biggest. I feel like that is the biggest bridge to cross. Not a lot of people don't have the resources or the rooms. They don't know how to go into a lot of these rooms. And I like to think that's how I had started. I never knew the certain rooms that you could be in and get to know certain people. So MBA wants to create this opportunity to where minority businesses can come together and they can network with one another. We look to have an assortment of those throughout the year. As our launch, everyone keeps asking, when is there going to be another one? When is there going to be another one? So we just want to let everyone know, please check out our social medias and make sure that you're watching what we have coming up, because we're going to have some really good ones coming soon.
You know, I don't think people realize how important networking can be, and that applies obviously to businesses, but also just personally.
Yes.
Having, broadening your circle of individuals who
Yes.
have experience in a variety of areas that you may not. It's pretty essential to do that.
It's very essential. For me, getting into business, I knew that I wanted to call myself a community company, but I'm a community person. I have joined the Junior Service League, and we set time out of our year to constantly make sure that we are serving. And when you are serving, you're meeting new people. Not only am I doing something to help other people, but I am taking that time out to make sure I'm getting my name out there. Hi, I'm Shaylan. I want to do this for you. Hi, how can I be of service? So networking has constantly been a life-changing view for me, just to be able to be in these rooms and just say, how can I be of service?
It occurred to me, since you are the CEO of your photography business, which you kind of very courageously just kind of dove into that business experience, and I imagine you have learned a lot. I mean, you've learned how to do things, but you also have learned how businesses function.
Yes, I never wanted to be a business owner, if I'm being honest, and it just was. I had some good people in my corner, and I had someone who loved me enough to say, you can do it. And from me building that business and having people to help me strategically plan, I had to learn business out of nowhere, and building that customer service and building boundaries and building this brand that I was building. And as I said before, calling it a community company. So we don't just do things for the money. As we spoke previously, that my business is usually everywhere. You can see us anywhere throughout the county. You can see us doing nonprofits, and you can see us doing photos, and you can see us doing the photo booth, or you can just see me out here just volunteering. Learning the business side was honestly the easy part, but trying to maintain it and sustain it was the hard part.
Yeah. Well, you certainly have become a presence in the community, and that's so smart. I mean, it's great to volunteer, but it's also smart for a business owner to do that as well, for all kinds of reasons.
Yes.
And I would guess that your excellent degree from Georgia Highlands has benefited you too, because your degree was community focused.
Yes.
So even though you're in the business world now, I'm guessing there's some parallels there.
Absolutely. So those who do not know, I am a Georgia Highlands alumni. Go Chargers. Yes, I graduated with my human services degree. And the biggest part of that for me was to make sure that I wanted to know more about society. I wanted to know more about how to be of service. And that was the biggest part for me. Also, I took very well into sociology and psychology. So really pushing into those as well really helped me with my human services degree, because it helped me learn what it is in society and what it is within us as humans. Can we help to? And sometimes it's not necessarily doing something physically, but sometimes it's understanding mentally how you can be there for someone.
Yeah, that's great. And I was thinking too, the experience of picking up the work of the Minority Business Association from your grandfather, who was so instrumental in building it initially. There's a sense of legacy there.
Yes.
No pressure or anything.
No pressure. Yes. Picking this up has been definitely something I would say is a lot bigger than myself. Watching his face glow when he watches me speak, or he just gets so excited and he wants to get up and just talk, and he just wants to say, "Oh, I'm not gonna take over what she's trying to do," but I'm so proud, and it just makes me feel like that I am doing something a lot bigger than me, as well as watching Bill Collins' face as well. Every time he sees me, his face just lights up, and he's just so proud. And just watching these people, and they say, like, we've needed someone to come in and really take this over. And so it's a blessing, and I can speak a lot of volume to those individuals who have really pushed me into this position.
Well, that's great. And I know you have very achievable goals, but I'll be quite surprised if you don't have many more members than you're planning on. I mean, I'm just sneaking suspicion that could happen, that could happen. So you have the website, you said social media, but to me, I need more than that. So what social medias are you doing?
Okay, so we do have Facebook. Facebook is facebook.com/NWGAMBA, as well as Instagram. And we are on Instagram as well at NWGAMBA. And so most of our social media websites are really, we push out the fun stuff, the giveaways, the exclusives, and things of that sort. Subscribing to our email list as well is a big one. We send out a lot of good emails, and you can also find our subscribe list on our Facebook. So yes.
Well, that's great. I think having an email connection and regular emails from you and the organization will make people feel connected, and also that things are developing and growing. So I'm quite certain that you have a lot of plans. We very specifically did not name dates here because we don't know when people will see the show. So what they really need to do is to stay in touch with your Facebook, and I don't know how you stay. I'm not an Instagrammer, but Facebook and your
our website. Yes,
and your website.
Yes.
And so those locations will have updates and dates for events and all the things that people need to know.
Yes, and if you're ever looking to join our directory and you want to make sure that you are being seen and you're offered these resources, you can always sign up at the www.northwestgeorgiamba.org. And so that's a big one. We want to make sure that we are building this directory and we are able to create these resources. And if you are opening a location, or if you are thinking about opening a location, give us a call. How can we be of service, and how can we offer these grand openings and ribbon cuttings to our community?
So a little publicity for new businesses?
Yes, absolutely. We want to make sure we are opening the door, giving them publication, giving them radio access and things of that sort.
Well, that's great. I'll be just shocked if you don't get a lot of businesses reaching out to you.
I'm excited.
Shaylan Johnson, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
We are completely out of time, but I enjoyed our discussion. Look forward to hearing more, and I thank you for being with us this time. We will see you next time on Community Watch.
Thank you.